The next question is, how do you know whether you buy a home that's licensed or unlicensed as a vacation short-term rental? What kind of risks and pros and cons that you're going to have? If it's not licensed and zoned, the city, the neighborhood, the actual house itself, if it doesn't have the license and zoning, then it's always going to be a potential risk, to be honest with you. And unfortunately, I'm actually very proactive on this issue. I founded and currently the president of the Utah Vacation Rental Managers Association to try and build a voice for homeowners and for other management companies across the state of Utah, so we can actually show up to the city council meetings and we can actually fight some of the misconceptions on nightly and short-term rentals and actually combat the lobbyists, if you will, for the powerful hotel lobby. Okay, there's hotels all throughout Utah, and it's an important part of our economy. But they feel threatened by the nightly rental business. Well, unfortunately, it's going to happen one way or the other. And so, by creating this organization, the idea is to bring on, like we have, multiple licensed management companies throughout the state of Utah that want to abide by a certain set of rules and code and, basically buoy up and lift up our industry to, abide by certain standards and processes and procedures. And some of that is education of the public. Okay. So, and really they come down to three things, and we'll get back to where to buy, licensed, unlicensed, and the risks and pros and cons. But trash, noise, and parking. Those are the three issues that can absolutely cause problems with any nightly rental. Now, if it's not zoned or licensed for it, those three things are major concern, because if it starts to impose on the neighbor's quality of life, then they and a lot of these neighbors they may not even know that you're renting short term, but over time, if you have an unruly guest, has a party that's not even, it's a total breach of contract, the one and maybe, who knows, 50 guests, they have too much parking, too much trash, and the noise, they go on for hours into the late hours of the night. Well, people are living in their homes. They got jobs. They got things that they got to do. Well, if this continues to happen, pretty soon you start getting neighbors that just are sick of it. And another reason for a professional property management company, we help manage those risks. We help educate the owners, and in some cases we educate the neighbors, and we work with the neighbors. So when those unruly guests come into the home and they book on Airbnb, you don't even know who they are. You rarely even get very much of their information. And people are willing, some people have a lot of money, but they look at that house as a party house. And our job is to try and keep that out of our business and our neighborhoods. And so the risk is that you piss off a neighbor over a short or long period of time, and they call the city and say, what is going on here? Like, this is what I'm seeing. They take pictures, they take video, they nonstop harass the city and code enforcement about your house specifically. And maybe they even find your listing online, and they won't stop sometimes. And it's just, they don't even, on half the time, maybe more, to be honest with you, some of these neighbors, they don't even, it might not even be a problem to them. They might not even have an issue, right? They just don't want to live potentially right next to one. But when they go on vacation, I wonder where they're staying. Okay, not all people stay anymore in hotels. They're fine taking their family down to St. George or Newport Beach or somewhere in Hawaii and staying in a vacation home and partying it up like rock stars, which is maybe just a nice birthday celebration, And so as guests, I think that's important as we all travel in Airbnbs, to be respectful of the home and the owner and the neighbors and the neighborhood. And if it says the parking for 4 and all must be like no on-street parking, And then brother Johnny, who lives down the street, or, all these different people, they know you're in town and they just show up. Well, guess what? You're in breach of contract. And not only that, you're putting somebody else's livelihood at risk. Okay. And it's not sometimes what it is, it's what it looks like. Right. And it doesn't matter, what the circumstances are. If you are breaking the rules are set that way for a reason. Well, good management companies, they manage that, and they make sure that the trash is taken out to the street every week, and they make sure that the trash goes back too. And if the trash is piling over and it's there a day before the trash comes in, like the trash pickup happens, what kind of a burden is that on neighbors? Just who wants to look outside literally and see trash cans pillaging out, right? And some stench, and who knows, liquor bottles and beer cans and who knows what else, right? Some of these people, they just like to have a good time. Well, that's when trash can be a problem. So professionals and owners that want to manage their own Airbnbs or have a professional, trash can cause real problems, okay? So getting it to the curb, making sure it's all picked up. And if there's no room in the cans, we actually have a guy that goes literally once a home's inspected, after it's cleaned, we assess the trash. And if we don't have enough trash bins to put all the trash bags in, then we'll actually have pay a guy to go out with his little pickup truck and pick up the trash and take it to one of our dumpsters. And so those things are really important to manage. Now, noise, there's noise sensors. There's all kinds of different things that you can install. The gadgets and gizmos, can be helpful, but ultimately publishing rules in your house, making sure your contract's clearly communicated. One of the challenges with Airbnb is we don't always know exactly who's staying in the house. We have their profile. We might be able to get a hold of them via email. Don't have their phone numbers, and so oftentimes it can be a challenge, and it's important to have guests that respect the rules and respect the neighborhoods, and so we can preserve and protect the owner's investment. And obviously it's a business, so just like me partnering with you and buying a 7-Eleven together, we're putting or borrowing a lot of money to enter into this partnership. And I kind of look at that the same way, whether you have borrowed $700,000 on $1 million house, or whether it's just paid off and it's all free and clear. It's $1 million that you own, or that you control, or that you're responsible or liable for. And so, as an owner, you really need to take that seriously. And as a manager, or as somebody that wants to manage Airbnbs or buy an Airbnb, that's a lot of money. And you might as well just picture a big briefcase full of $100 bills. Like, that's how I visualize it, because it doesn't matter what the debt is on these assets. Right now, I probably have under my management, under my responsibility, over $100 million worth of real estate that I'm responsible for, and my team. And so, ultimately you're only as good as the team you build and the people that you have there to support you. But as you look to manage different homes, or buy vacation homes, or look to entrust your home to a manager or somebody, keep those things in mind. We all have room for improvement in different things, but these are kind of the key elements that can cause issues from licensure